This is TechDays.
Good afternoon. How is everybody doing? Great. Fantastic. So hopefully you're ready for a pretty intense 1-hour session about 10 ways to make hackers excited. Just a few words about the session, of course, and just a few words about myself. First of all, the room is full, and this is awesome. You must be interested in cybersecurity. And before we move forward, did you like the music? Well, I mean, yeah. If you like heavy metal, then probably hip-hop would not be the choice. But yeah, something from the beginning. Anyway, as you see on the slide, my name is Paula J, and what I do for a living, it's cybersecurity. So pretty much anything that is related with, first of all, research, but also doing the penetration testing at our customer side. Now it's very nicely called testing the cybersecurity posture. It's a very nice verbiage for what cybersecurity is about. And I've been doing that for the past 14 years. I'm also a CEO of a company that is called Secure. Literally in 7 days, we are celebrating 10 years anniversary of being in the market for cybersecurity. So this is the case, and our team is right now 38 people, starting from 1 person to 38, which kind of also shows that cybersecurity is important. Yeah. Now, what's new from the last year? And thanks so much for coming back. If this is not the first time you're seeing me on stage presenting, I've become a Microsoft Regional Director. I'm not working for Microsoft at all. No. It's just this really weird role that is called director, which I'm not the director actually, but it's kind of cool, yeah? So this is the case, and that means that it's like an MVP kind of thing. And it means that Microsoft technologies can be used in a certain ways, as we all know, to be converted into business. Question is, of course, how can we do it in an innovative way? So that's kind of like the recognition, apparently. So the top 10 ways to make hackers excited. That session contains lots of tools. And in general, I do have a pleasure to speak at various conferences. And this is the place, really, where our team has an opportunity to share the tools with you. So the tools after that sessions, and after my session that is coming next, they will be available on our blog, which is secureacademy.com. Please, guys, check it out if you want to download them. Kind of, you are doing it on your own responsibility, I would say, but at the same time, they're all free. Yes, so we never ask you to pay for any kind of tools. We have over 200 of them, so enjoy. Yeah, that's the case. Now, let's start. Yeah, so no time to lose. Basically, what's the background for that session, and what are these top 10 ways to make hackers excited? Now, literally, not really long time ago, I've been doing actually a pen test. And that type of pen test was quite fun because it's actually started with the social engineering test. And I was testing the warehouse, so like place with whatever, closet, couches, furnitures, etc. And my job was to do the social engineering. And customer asked me the question, hey, like since you're gonna get into this warehouse, could you please like steal something to show other guys that that can be done and you can sneak through security, etc., and pull out something? And I'm thinking, this is probably the best project I ever had, because what am I supposed to steal from the furniture house? A couch? So I'm like, okay, challenge accepted. So I'm at the security, of course. And there was this conversation. I'm bringing my iPad, so it looks good, so it looks very professional. I opened Excel on it so that security sees that there is some kind of a chart out there. And I said that I came over here to audit your stock, because obviously company wants to optimize whatever is going on inside. And they're like, do you have a pass? Obviously, I don't have a pass. So I'm saying, I don't need a pass, really. And you do the serious face, and they're like, oh, okay, so you can get in. I'm like, that's awesome. So basically, this was probably one of the easiest pen tests I ever had on social. So I'm like going around all the different things, all the different alleys and so on, and everything is so big, and it's kind of difficult, yeah? So I found the smallest thing that I found is actually a carpet. So I'm like, okay, I'm taking this. So I took a big carpet with me on my arm, and then I'm going through security, waving to the security guys, smiling, they're smiling back, goodbye, carpet is gone, yeah? I never stole a carpet, but what's the point? The point is that every single time we are talking to customers, they're always bragging about, oh, and this is actually a real case story. We've got another customer, they were saying, we've got 3 anti-spam filters. 3. I'm like, why not having 7? Because 1 basically can filter that, and 2nd, and you know the drill, and we are like, fine. So let's do the pen test. We're coming in. And then what happened? One of our guys said, why aren't we like a little nasty over here? Why don't we just target, and apologies, IT department and simple responder attack? Display in front of their like faces the logon prompt to log on to one of the network resources. Why don't we do that? We did that. IT department gave us all the credentials. We managed to get access further in a further step. So all these 3 anti-spam filters, they were not necessarily working over here because there was a problem with skill set. And that is something that we are dealing currently with in cybersecurity. I will be also talking about that more on my next session. But in general, the concept is that we've got fantastic systems, but the problem is, and these are just top 10 ways to make attacker excited, that every single time we get to the customer side, there are same mistakes. And it's sometimes a little boring to see that. And penetration testing job, it's a little boring too, because we are getting inside by using the same problems. And if you got that fixed, awesome, that's the point, yeah? So let's have a look through this 10, and my goal for you today is to actually pick 3 of those, and if you have the possibility to focus on those this year, that would be great. So let's don't over-exaggerate, let's just keep 3, but let's have a look what's that. The first one is easy, by the way, and it's this. So technically, what we see is the situation where the customers are disabling firewalls on the critical servers. And we could be thinking, oh, this is a very easy case. Well, it is, but at the same time, disabling firewall means allowing different processes that we don't know to communicate out to the network. And when we look at the history, ransomware has been done there 5 years ago. And for the 5 years, we can see at the different types of customer size as well, that that problem hasn't been fixed. Not only we don't have a code execution prevention, but at the same time, there is nobody controlling us to communicate out from the certain workstation. And we could be thinking, okay, processes and so on, we can implement a blocker, we can implement device guard, application control in Windows Server 2019. But what is also interesting over here that that type of a firewall and the different types of settings could save us from the amplification attacks. One of the most interesting ones, easy to do within the current networks, amplification attacks, especially within the DNS area, are most often used for the denial of service attacks. So whenever you've got different types of bots in the network, then these guys technically spoof or forge the source IP address, and they send a query to the DNS server, and the DNS server responds back to the victim that you want to attack. So it's a very simple mirrored attack. And that type of attack can be actually prevented by the built-in features in Windows Server 2016. So I'm going to be a little bit today and also a little bit good, so that we've got the good flavor or what is possible within the certain type of a box, like Windows Server 2016 and up. So what I will show you is the attack, which is actually quite easy to execute. And that particular attack I'm going to deliver by using the script that is called DNS Blast. And that particular script is actually free, so you can download it and you can configure it how it's supposed to work. We're going to use it with the different features. And this is basically the percentage that you're going to have at the end of the queries that we're going to see in a moment. They indicate how successful we are within the certain type of attack. So how many queries that we send are being responded to. Yes, and this is pretty much the story. Yeah? So it's actually quite a lot. Yes? So we are approximately 30%. And maybe the first demonstration isn't breathtaking, but that shows us that that type of attack is actually easy to deliver, yeah? And then your DNS server, depending on from how many resources we're gonna run that, is of course losing on resources. Now, whenever we are thinking, of course, about securing from that type of attack, and I would like to secure the server first, and then we're gonna even run a stronger attack, and you will see what's the success ratio, you will basically see the difference, and that's my point of that demonstration, yeah? So within the Server 2016, Microsoft introduced something that is called response rate limiting, and that response rate limiting, we've got it to be configured over here. Yeah. So what do we have here? So at the very beginning, we've got, of course, the get command part, and so how many different types of commands we've got on the response rate limiting part, and this is in general the built-in mechanism that by default is disabled that allows us to configure different types of response types for the DNS queries. Yeah? So technically you can specify the window within which there should be a certain amount of responses, how many responses there should be in a second, also how big it should be, how long we should wait, etc. So all these things are out there. And I'm technically using all these different types of features that are allowed within that particular setting. So we are specifying over here a leak rate, truncate rate, so different types of response types, how do we respond within the certain type of a time frame, etc., including, of course, response rates per second. So this is pretty much what I've been mentioning over here. So let's technically run that part. Okay, that's fine. And then basically we can get all these different types of setting here. So we can see, of course, that at some point we can sum it up a little bit. And at the end we can see that there is, here we go, let me just go down a little bit. Yep, that there are these settings that we were configuring set, yeah? Not a big deal. So the last part is to disable it. We don't want to do that right now. And what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna actually run this particular attack once again, yeah? So technically, let's get into the Linux box and let's execute the attack, yeah? So at that moment, we're gonna do clear. Here we go. And we had our DNS blast for that certain IP address, and we're gonna use the little bit more moderated attack, which is the power blast to 10.201, no, this was 2.11, once again, 2.11, and then 11, yeah? So this was our IP address. So basically, in general, why we are responding to that particular, just one more thing, sorry, just a verification. Yeah, 201, not because, I mean, the attack is still there, so we need to technically get this address. So let me just change it to 201. It wasn't 211. I've got actually another environment like this. Here we go. And let's do it. Yes, that's a little bit better. So we can see that there is a certain amount of responses that we are recording, but that is because server is not allowing to respond to every single type of a query that we are sending over here. Yeah? So this is the whole scenario. We could be like, okay, so that we got more percentage, less percentage. What's exciting about that? Well, we can simply see that that's pretty much, well, not the only way, but quite an interesting way to measure it, that particular thing worked. And the problem is that we don't have that done in our infrastructure. Why not? It's just even internally a DNS server that is running on Windows. Why don't we secure it a little bit? Because anybody hooking into the certain network, if you don't have a network access control out there, is able to perform that kind of attack. Yeah? During the pen test, it's a little bad because nobody wants to kill someone's network, but in general, possible? Absolutely. Yeah? So this is one of the interesting situations out there. So let's move forward. So this was a demo on the amplification part. Now, whenever we are thinking about different other options, the second way to make hackers excited is an overly simple passwords and security questions. And what do we mean by this? Well, let me here, it's actually quite obvious, share with you a little bit of a story. That story is quite sad because I was doing the pen test in one of the companies in Belgium, and it's more like a factory kind of environment and so on, so it's a little bit off the city. And there is this domain admin, and that domain admin has been working there for, imagine, like 20 years. So that infrastructure is like his child. So when I'm getting there to hurt his child, because that's the concept out there, he's not happy. Yeah, to the point that he's like not really talking to me, he's like avoiding me and so on. I'm like, okay, I mean, I'm just gonna do my job. So I set up my laptop, I did a couple of things that worked. Technically, I managed to get access to his infrastructure. I mean, shameful to admit, because he had actually configured SQL Server with an SA account. Boo. Okay, so very sad. So he comes in and I'm saying that, and he's like, oh, I know about that. I know, so why don't you just change it? Oh yeah, well, I was about to change it. I'm like, okay. But he didn't like block it or anything. So I'm like, okay, fine. So let's see what this is running on. And it was running obviously on local system. So let's bring it on. And I'm already a local administrator because I was able to use the XPCMD shell, old stuff, yeah? So classic way to get access to. So I'm the local administrator. I managed somehow, because there was like a service running, something like that, to get this local administrator's password. Now, he's coming back and I'm like, I'm in. And he's almost like, his micro expressions, his muscles like froze, like, yes? And then I'm like, I'm your admin. See, it's like, I'm not stupid, so I know what to say. And he's like, okay, what's the password? And I said, whatever, 1, 2, 3. And he's like, oh no, you're a domain admin, yes? I'm like, I didn't say that. I said, I'm an admin, right? And this was a password actually for local admin. And he's like, oh no, you're a domain admin. I'm like, now I am actually, thank you so much for this. So this is basically what we are talking about. This was extreme, by the way. I've never seen it before. The same local admin password and the domain admin password. But this is what we are referring to. Now, what I do and what our team does is we do quickly generate a list of predefined passwords that are related with the company name, month that we have right now, something company related, and then we run across all the users. And there's always, literally always, some kind of a password that works, whatever 1, 2, 3. Today we've got October, so it's going to be whatever 10. And this is pretty much how we are getting access to. So no demo needed is just to mention that this is actually something that is making the hackers excited. Now, no network segmentation, no filtering in general. So anything that is related with having our network spoofable or sniffable and spoofable. And we are talking here about a base for the attack, which is ERP spoofing or ERP poisoning, so anything ERP related that allows us to go through in between the networks and technically get access to information being sent by other computers. Yes? So this is the setup. And whenever we are thinking, of course, about that, the results of that kind of attack can be a little harmful because then you are receiving all the information being set within a different subnets. But the question is, can we do that on Windows? Yes, of course. And what our team did, and absolutely feel free to have fun, we have actually set up a tool, and that particular tool, it's called CQRP Spoof. It's written by our developer, Michael, so as most of our tools actually. And we are specifying over here the client that we're gonna listen the traffic to the traffic from, and then the gateway. So in between which two you would like to listen to your traffic, yeah? You can specify that you would like to listen to traffic in between all of them, but that's gonna be a little bit intense. So what is the scenario? Scenario is very simple. It could be pretty much any type of a traffic. So let's just start that kind of monitoring activity. So I'm over here. Let's just do it. Starting that. For some reason it failed. I have no idea why. So let's see what happened. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, let's see. Client, gateway, 10. Client, CQRP spoof. What's wrong? Let me see. That tool works. Okay, so yeah, let me see. That part, client, gateway. Okay, so let's just do gateway IP, but for some reason it should be fine actually. No, okay, so well, let's see. It's a bad advertisements for our developer, I would say, for sure. But that should be no problem actually. Let me just triple check on that. I'm gonna actually go also to one more place just to be sure about that, because yeah, let's see. And then let's go to the CQRP spoof. No, it's good. Okay, so we've got a... No, this is good. I'm just thinking that maybe there's like some other tools, but no. We've got this one, CQRP spoof. Oh, let me then work about this because it actually was working. So let's see. So we've got a client IP, gateway IP. Yeah, for some reason it fails. So the argument out of the... What? So 10. No, the arguments are cool. Arguments are good. Let me just check one more thing. I could hear you were screaming something from the audience, right? But client IP, gateway IP. No, this is good. Everything is fine because we first specify the client IP. We can just do client IP, but I mean, no, not really. Like, I know there's something more wrong with this. Let me see. In the worst case, we will just find out the option for doing it in a different case, and I will actually show you this later on in a different way. But just in case, one last chance, but without the equal sign. Here we go. So we're gonna do that, and then it does not do anything. So let's see, and like more small letters. No, there is something wrong. Okay, I don't know. I really don't. Yeah, let's see, because that should be fine. Yeah, the tool itself works. Yeah. Okay, so what's that? Oh yeah. I actually tested it before. Yeah, so it wasn't that originally. Yeah, let's see. So yeah, see, this is the situation. So this is what we were talking about. Non-negative. What's that? Oh yeah, I cannot hear. Okay, anyway, let's find out that. Yes, let's find it out. IP addresses are good, so it should be fine. Yeah, anyway, let's move forward, and then we're gonna handle this situation in a moment. I will show you the spoofing activity also in a little bit different way, so should be all right. We get the concept, yeah? So, long story short, this is technically one of the situations out there. Whenever we are thinking, of course, about the whole concept for the spoofing activities. This is in general possible, yes, and thanks to that we are able to perform different types of activities. We're going to do the spoofing right now, so we're going to be actually combining these two. Now, spoofing, it's a great source for providing the attack like SMB relay, and we're going to do the spoofing over here, but with a different tool. So, whenever we are thinking about the SMB relay, this is one of the attacks that pretty much is always possible because it comes out of possibility to do spoofing, having SMB not being signed, and one of the preconditions for that is actually to have the NTLM version 2 working within the network. Now, before we move forward, let me explain what we're going to do, and I'm going to explain that using this little white screen and technically my finger. So let's do it. Now, first of all, we've got a client. It looks like a mushroom though, but let's move forward. So we've got here a server, and that's going to be some kind of a file server. And what we are explaining right now, it's an NTLM version 2 authentication. So the client wants to connect to the file server, and it does this by using the short name, or it does it by using the IP address. These are these two that are triggering NTLM version 2. Now, server responds and says, hey, thanks for connecting. This is this data blob that I want you to encrypt with my password hash. So let's do that. This is what the client does, and client sends it back, being encrypted with the password hash, fine. And then client gives it a session. Now, where's the problem? The problem is in the following place, that within the NTLM version 2 and SMB not being signed, first of all, well, we are able to do the spoofing, but the second, we're able to take this response and forward it to our victim. So how does it work? Technically, over here, we're going to set up the bad guy. And that bad guy is going to be performing the sniffing and / spoofing activity on that network by implementing RP poisoning. And long story short, we're going to take this response, we're going to forward that to a victim, and on the authentication, because we are able to authenticate with that response, we will run we're going to run software that we're going to use to connect back to this guy. That's the scenario, yes? I was never good at painting, yes, as you probably can see, but hopefully that makes sense. And also, what we are relying on is, and why we can do this, and why this guy accepts this, because the SMB, it's not being initially signed, and this is a default setup in Windows, yeah? So we need to work on that. We do have already a bunch of customers that went into this direction, and technically they are signing their SMBs, and that's pretty nice. Let's dig into the demonstration. So SMB relay part. Now, we're going to combine that demo with interesting couple of scenarios, and effectively, within this demonstration, we're going to run two things. First of all, I'm going to use Metasploit as one of the listeners. We could use our own stuff, but why not? We can do it this way. And effectively, what we're going to also use, it's a script that is called SMB Relay X. And that particular script you can download from the GitHub. It's a part of the in-packet master scripting package. Yeah? Okay, so let's have a look at what we got here. We've got a bit of the Linux box. And technically, in the back, I've got my relay script ready to rock. And over here, it's a Metasploit just started with the basic settings. Yeah, so this is the setup. So the command is down there below, and then we've specified the SMB relax py in Python, and that's something that in general indicates over here that we've got SMB relay x -h. We specify our victim, so the host name, -e. It's a little broken over here, and then we've got CQ shell 104a. .exe. Now, what is this shell about? This is nothing but a payload that has been generated by our team. And again, we do share our payload generator. We don't share it publicly, though. So if you're going to be interested, drop us an email. Then we're going to share it with you, because this is a bit of a know-how that we have. And once that kind of a shell generator is widely available, then antivirus companies will learn it and they will start to recognize it. Now it's not recognized by antivirus solutions, which is awesome, unless, of course, you use the machine learning antivirus, and that's a different story. So we've got this. Fantastic. So we can get into that area. So what we're going to do over here, we're going to run the script, and we're going to technically do that part over here. So we do exploit over here, and we run the script over here. Yeah. So what are we waiting for right now? So I'm going to take this guy a little bigger. And what are we waiting for? It's someone connecting in between by using the IP address or the short name. And we're going to cause this attack. Before we move forward, what I would like to show you is that simple thing over here. That technically, and this is a victim, by the way. So technically, in a hacking process, you have no option to see that, but it's a presentation, so we can do that. We're going to be impersonating into the process on that client that has a process ID 664. Why like that? Because it's an SVC host, and SVC host is quite a dirty process, so we are able to inject into SVC host lots of things, and it will not crash. And if so, then okay, for some of the services, it's not a problem. And it's also running a system. So we are hunting for the privileged account to be able to use that kind of a protocol to authenticate. So NTLM version 2. So this is a 664 process ID. Okay, fine. So what I'm going to do on my side, I'm going to log on by using the IP address to one of the network resources. It doesn't really matter which ones, because we're performing the poisoning over here. So let's do that. And over here, we've got the session open, and we do migrate 664. I will make it a full screen, of course. And after that, we should be able to see the session completed successfully. And what I did, I managed to become, right now, someone who has access to processes over here. Yeah. So it could be first PS, of course, then we will be able to list the processes, but now we can see what's going on. And then we can do, of course, shell, and then we are able to get access to the certain machine. And I'm the local system on the IP config, and this is a 10.10 to 50-hour console. That's how easy, by the way, it is. Yeah, so once the session is opened, I type in immediately the process ID because of the presentation reason. You have approximately 15 seconds to connect. So you do first PS, you list the processes, and then you choose which process you would like to have. Yeah, so we knew exactly which one because we are able to list those processes before we actually do the OMI, whatever shell, and migration to the process. Now that process migration, it's an exploitation technique, which luckily is patched, solved, addressed in Windows 10 exploit guard, and that's also something that is coming in Windows Server 2019 in the Windows Defender ATP exploit guard. So process migration in general allows you to load your own code into the other process's memory, not in the form of a DLL, which will be quite easy to discover, but in a form of a pure code that you execute from the memory of that process. That's why it's kind of difficult to actually discover that. Well, if you know what you are looking for, then yes, but who will actually get into the memory address spaces to all of the processes and check for the X for execution flag? Yeah, so it's a little bit of a hassle, so it's actually better to prevent it. Now, once we have this shell, what's the drill? The drill is that within this shell, it would be fantastic if we could, at that certain moment, actually compile something. And in the back, you can see how this attack was proceeding. Yes, so we were actually over here executing something that is called pop VK something something, which is a renamed version of our payload. Yeah? Now, what is good to do, and the question is, of course, how the whole system is working, etc., is good to actually compile something in place. So we could compile over here by getting into the C, Windows, Microsoft.NET framework, and by using the CSC, a certain shell that we may want to put over here. Yeah. So let's do that. And technically, I'm going to get into this particular box. And this is also a second part of our demo, which involves code execution and how do we actually compile things. So technically, what we're going to do, we're going to specify over here that we would like to get, and I will just delete the temp case, the whole downloader. So we are right now getting our wget in the box. So we are not downloading anything, we are just having our own wget. This is a simple way of running it. Within our team, we also managed to build our own PowerShell, actually using PowerShell libraries, so that you've got a full PowerShell functionality at that level. It's actually pretty nice. And at that certain moment, we've got a CQ-wget, so you can run, of course, at that certain scenario, csc.exe, and then basically we run CS, of course, and then we specify that, and this is something that is being compiled in place. So technically, at that certain moment, we do have our CQ-wget, and in order to download and save a new shell, we can do that because this is already a name of an executable in place. So let's take this guy, and then basically we are able from that level to execute and download our CQ shell. Yeah, so let's do and check CQ, whatever we have over here, and this is our CQ shell that has been downloaded right now, and then you execute it, connect back, whatever, just have fun, yeah? So this is technically the fifth way we're talking about, yeah? Allowing unusual code execution. Now, I don't know if you guys had a chance to check something that it's called lol bus or lol bins. LOL bus, LOL bins, like binaries, yeah? This is a certain set of scripts on a GitHub. It's not a rocket science, but in general, it's a pretty nice setup, which presents us what kind of and how we are able, what kind of built-in Windows tools and how we are able to leverage them in Windows, yes, in order to download software, execute software, etc. Now, why am I talking about this? Because we rarely see, or pretty much we've never seen, a well-done code execution prevention implemented that could not be bypassed. That's a bit of a problem, yeah? So let's have a look at what we got over here, just for, to be on a good side. So this is the lol BAS that I was talking about, and we've got over here, let's say, OS binaries, and this list over here, again, not a rocket science, is just to have, nice to have some kind of a summary. All these things are built-in Windows commands that are allowing you to execute, download code. Question is, when we do have a code execution prevention, do we address those? Yeah, have a look. It's actually quite fun. One of my favorites, and there are plenty, of course, Bits admin, we know that, but we've got also things like certutil. And can we download stuff by using certutil? Sure, and you do it just like that, yes? So certutil, URL cache, split -f, and you specify the file that you would like to download, and this is your downloader, yeah? Now, is your antivirus discovering that? Yes/no. I can tell you that Windows Defender ATP, not bragging about Microsoft, but they actually do that. Yes, they are discovering that because it's a machine learning and intelligent threat detection that allows you to specify that, hey, that certutil is connecting to the internet. That's kind of wrong. Why don't we block it? So that's why we're also saying that machine learning is technically one of the good futures to invest into while thinking about cybersecurity. So this is technically one of our situations here. Now, whenever we are thinking about whitelisting, yeah, so running the code that we don't know, but this is one of the things. But the second thing is, of course, the machine learning part that we were mentioning here. The question is, of course, do we have that? Yes, is this executable, that executable that we were expecting? Now, what I would like to show you over here is technically a situation that we run as a social project, by the way. So that wasn't very nice, but the results were actually quite amazing, where we decided to publish on one of our sub-websites, not on secureacademy.com, but another website that we have, STDR, etc. And over there, we have actually shared sysinternals tools. And where do we download the tools? Well, from the source of origin. So why do people actually download sysinternals tools from our website? Not even knowing of what's that. Yes, it was like a whatever website that we had. Now, what we did, we infected all of these tools with a malware. That's kind of brutal. And that malware was just doing one thing, reading the username and publishing that username into our portal. Yes? So that was actually quite fun. And at the end, I would like to show you basically how did we do that and what is the case around it, yes? So we were able to see how many people actually were clicking to that particular case, yeah? Now, you can browse it with me because it's live. Yeah, that's basically the case, yeah? So this is a stdrpl/mw demo, yes, malware demo. We have many variants of that, and these are the guys that were clicking, yeah? So it's still there. We still keep that website, by the way, so we can see 2018. So this is nice. Someone from not really long time ago, yes? So probably some kind of a test machine, yes? But then you've got John PC, Clone PC, Computer 66, whatever that is. Okay, whatever, yes? So you can see technically different types of activities and people were registering themselves into our places. And this was the only thing that we were doing, by the way, nothing wrong. But that software wasn't digitally signed. So why someone that was running it? So that's my case here. Now, what I would like to show you, it's a very interesting as well exercise that we run for one of our customers where we were checking out which shares overall within that infrastructure are available to be written to. And whenever you've got that kind of a share, we put on that share stuff. Whenever there was nothing, we put something. Whenever there was an executable script or anything like that that could be modified, we modified that. Yeah. Now, one of the funniest situations at our customer side that we've encountered was actually an audit company that came in and they were supposed to audit user profiles or whatever. And literally they said that, apparently they were a little lazy. They said, okay, everybody, there is a script. And that script, we want you to run on your computer. It's like a conversation with users. And that script will upload all the different types of software that you're running, etc., into our share. Which means that that share is with the everyone right. Yeah, so what we did, we modified that script. And that was pretty much the point over here to how do you get access as a user into the infrastructure. That could be the way. Yes? So question is, do we have something like that in your infrastructure? Now, what I have for you is this. There is this little tool, yep, and it's called CQNet Infector. Yes, and what it does, it finds out, so you can do scan, and it finds out different types of executable scripts, etc., on the shares that are widely available. So you run it from the anonymous whatever workstation, and then it gets and crawls through your network infrastructure, and it verifies where it can actually write something and when there is an executable or script, as we mentioned. So I've got two examples over here, or it's already scanned. So what you can do, you can technically infect these things, yes? So we can infect whatever, all the files, or technically one file, etc. So it actually works very quickly. What it does, it gets it and it infects it with a piece of code, piece of malware, and then technically uploads it back. Yeah. So what's the situation over here? If you run, for example, this is the sysinternals tools that we were talking about, and this is an addition that we have there on the website. Yeah. So RAM map, for example, for memory analysis, if you run it, then this particular RAM map is actually uploading the name of your user profile into our website. So if you have access to the internet, that will be there, yes? But you can infect it with anything you want to, yes? It's a part of the configuration of the tool. So you can do that kind of a test. So a part of the pen test activities, of course. Now, whenever we are thinking about another problems, yeah, that we have in the infrastructures, it's something like that, yeah? Old protocols or their default settings. And what do we mean by that? Well, technically, over the years, vulnerabilities, they have been pretty much evolving. And in general, they were related, of course, with SSL. In September, they had a really interesting vulnerability with the task scheduler. So components on Windows, yeah? Now, there are vulnerabilities or situations, I would say, that are all the time there. And there is not much we can do about it unless we kind of build a wall around them, yeah? It has been for the past 20 years like this, with credentials in Windows being in the memory, until it has been patched in Windows 10 by using Credential Guard. Now, one of these things we already mentioned, it's an NTLM version 2, not to mention NTLM version 1. It's an SMB, not being signed. So these are like everlasting problems, yeah? Now, whenever we think about this task scheduler, I'm going to be talking about that on my next session. It's another bit of a problem. So how we are allowing the code to run, SSL/TLS. But there's also one thing that is quite nice, which is called TDS. And TDS, being a tabular data stream, it's technically invented by Sybase in 1984. It's a protocol that is used by SQL Server to communicate. If we don't do anything about the SQL Server implementation, then TDS is definitely in place. It's my lovely part. I actually like it a lot because it's like application communicating with a server. Yeah. Question is, did we do something about the encryption underneath? Because you can actually add an encryption for the communication certificate in the configuration of the SQL Server. Your applications can also enforce it, etc. But if you do perform that sniffing activity that we are talking about, then you are able to see of what kind of queries people actually use. So what can we do about that? Let's have a look. So that is basically the following situation here. So I'm going to log into that box once again. So let me do that. Here we go. And I have another script out there running. And that another script is technically called SQL inject. And that's this guy here. And that SQL inject will allow us to listen to the, first of all, different types of queries that are out there. But as long as we manage to figure out what's the query by running some kind of a listener, then we will be able to perform that type of an attack. Now, what's the drill? Here we go. So this particular box, let me just set up these machines once again. Over here. So this is this one. We've got over here a SQL Server. So I'm going to technically put this one down. We don't need this guy. Let's make it a little bigger. And then basically we're going to work on, first of all, showing you how does SQL Server look like in that particular situation. And then we will perform that activity on the SQL Server for the spoofing. Yeah? Let me take this box, actually. Let's minimize it first. OK, fine. And then over here, I've got my SQL Server here. Yeah, OK, fine. OK, good. So this is my box. Now logins. No. Logins over here. Let's do it. Let's refresh it. Yeah, so as you see amongst the logins, you don't have any type of a vicious account. And that's going to be our point. So over here, we are performing just a simple query to the database, so execute, where we are listing the customer IDs. Yeah, so this is quite straightforward. And then we are getting that kind of an answer back. Now, when you perform that kind of activity, whenever we plan and run different types of spoofing, as we were already discussing, and you run in the bottom anything like Wireshark, then basically you will see that this is actually something that is running in the clear text. Yes, and that's a bit of a problem. Now, what I want to show you, and we're going to actually take this box, and let's give it a full screen first. It's going to be a little bit more convenient for me as well to work on that situation. Here we go. So this is the guy. Let's take the SQL Server. Let's make it smaller. And over here, we're going to actually make this query. So let's do it. For some reason, let's do that part. And let's do Wireshark. We can do that. Wireshark or Network Monitor. Come on. It's a little sluggish, but I wonder. Come on, Wireshark, come over. No, once again. Of course. Yep. Let's do it. For some reason, my shortcuts are not working because it's not a full screen, but let's do it again and let's see. OK, fine. This one goes out, of course. OK, and then let's go a little bit to the bottom. And let's do, once again, our Wireshark here. Why it doesn't search it? OK, OK, let me do it on a different machine then. We're going to switch. OK, this guy comes out. We are using right now the different machine, which is going to be the one that I have minimized over here. So let's just get there. There we go, on our server. This is this guy here. And this is the one SQL client. This is the SQL server here. Okay, fine. So let's just run this guy here. I could be both from client or the server. It doesn't really matter. What matters is actually how we're going to be able to trace it. Yeah. So let the Wireshark start, and then we're going to be ready to perform that activity. So long story short, what I want to show you basically is that that is something that's going to run in a clear text. Yes. And whenever you perform any type of a spoofing/sniffing activity, that is really what you will be able to at the end monitor. Yeah. So it's going to be the clear text part. Let's just skip this version for the moment, and let's do capture on these interfaces, not on this one, but let's just do close. Let's do this guy. Fine, and then we will be ready to use this. Yeah. So here we go. Fine. Okay, let's see. Okay, fine. So we got this one. No, now we are back on track. TDS. Let's use it as a filter. Fine. And on the SQL level, so it's going to be for us another box over here. Yes, we're going to perform the same type of a query, because you really guys need to see what does it mean to have that running actually in a clear text. Yeah. So we're going to have back this guy over here, where we had our SQL server. So this one goes out, and the query is done again. So we're going to do execute for this. And then that monitoring traffic of the traffic is happening here. And as you see over here, we've got the TDS captured. It's 3 machines to be shown at the same time. But lovely, finally we are able to see the whole situation. Yeah. So this is basically, we can see here customer, etc. Yeah. So this is the reply that we have. Yeah. Now, long story short, so this is the response that we were getting. So we are able to also to see what's being brought. Yeah. Default stuff, by the way. Every SQL server that has not been addressed for the traffic encryption has this problem. Yeah. So what we're going to do now? So we've got that type of a query. That sniffer we can leave. It's fine. That type of a query we're going to run because we already sniffed that. We already know how it looks like, and we're going to work on it by using our SQL inject. And within the SQL inject, we are right now performing again the sniffing and spoofing activity. That's why we were saying it's part of the important things to address. Now here, yes, what we try to do is that found our string and replaced it. And what is happening on that side on the SQL server, we have replaced that string by a different string where we actually create a username on the SQL server. And as you see, without having access to any type of a box, we're creating an account on the SQL server side, just of course by knowing the query. Yeah. Typical and kind of boring, because it's pretty much every single time you've got a SQL Server infrastructure, we are dealing with that. Yes, it's really a matter of finding out in the network by sniffing it, different types of queries that are being sent over there. Okay, interesting so far? Awesome. Okay, so let's go forward. Step number 8, trusting solutions without knowing how to break them. Yeah, that's my favorite, because maybe we're always laughing with my friend that I'm Polish, yes, and it's kind of in our, at least in our team's blood, that whenever something gets to our hands, we really want to like break it. Yeah, we've got a very fatalistic thinking about this is awesome, but, and there's always a problem. It's like, but that breaks this way, that way. So we are always trying to do that. Yeah. Now, what is the point over here? Question is Sysmon safe? Because everybody talks about Sysmon, and we love Sysmon, don't get me wrong, Sysmon from sysinternals, but is it safe? Is it good? Can we actually make it work or not work in a certain way so that at the end it looks like it's working, but it's not? Yeah? And that, of course, it's referring to many different types of solutions like this. So let me show you, because this is exactly what we're going to be doing over here. Yeah? So first of all, what I would like to show you is how to cheat on Sysmon, all right? So that's going to be the first part. Second part is going to be how to unload the Sysmon so that it looks like it's working, but it's not, yeah? So for that reason, I'm going to run first Process Explorer / Process Hacker. So let's just do that. Here we go. Let's find Notepad, and our Notepad is this one. Oh goodness, it has this big process ID that I will need to remember now. So maybe we're just gonna grab it. Yeah. So this is regular Notepad running with the medium integrity level. And what I'm gonna do with this is that on the sysmon level, I've got something that is called CQ create process with parent. Yeah? And this is, by the way, case in Windows. Are we able to create the processes and specify their parent to cheat on the original parent? That doesn't sound socially positive, but in general, when we think about that, it is, and that's the problem in Windows right now. So when we do CQ create process with parent, then basically, the second part that we're going to specify over here, it's the process ID of Notepad, and we've got a PPID, and we're going to specify that on the 31560. Yeah, so that's going to be the setup. And we're going to specify, of course, what we would like to run over here. Yeah, so we are cheating on the parent process over here. So we're going to create the process that's going to be having Notepad as parent, which for real it will not be. Yes, so this is the case. So we've got this guy, and then we're going to do exe, and then we're going to specify, let's say, another Notepad. It could be anything really. Windows. Let's do sysnative, and then let's do Notepad. Yeah, fantastic. So we've got Notepad created. So process is down there, so you can see that. Now, we've got two notepads over here starting, yeah? So let's just select one of those. And technically, let's just sort this by that particular trees. And as you see, what we did over here, we created a process, which is Notepad, from console. The parent process of that guy, we've got a cmd.exe, CQ create process with parent, and Notepad. That's the original path, right? So why Notepad is under Notepad? That's the problem with Windows. I mean, is there a solution for that? No, I'm sorry, that's bad. Okay, let's go forward, yeah? And, but, when we have that kind of situation, maybe we could do a little bit with the with the process tracking, and effectively, sysmon maybe could help us. And that there is hope, of course. And for that, we're gonna get into Windows logs, system, and we're going to move forward, not the Windows log system, but the applications and services log. Here we go. And then we're going to go to Microsoft. We're going to go to sysmon. Here we go. So let's just type it. Microsoft Windows sysmon. Here we go. And then we are ready. Sysmon. Yes, here we go. Yes, log operational, fine. Yes, so we've got our log. And the question is, of course, how can we search of what actually happened? Yes. So we are searching over here for Notepad, or in general for the event type 1, event ID 1, where eventually, and this is sorting, when eventually we will be able to find something that is related with our situation. Yeah? So we can immediately also go over there. Oh, this is interesting. Let's see. Could be this one, but not. We could also search for it, but it's going to be a little bit of time. Yeah? So, oh, this is interesting. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that part, yes? So we've got over here conhost starting, and that conhost, yes, it's starting with some kind of a taskbar, so that's not this one. Okay, that's good, that's what I wanted. So the sorting by the processes over here being created, and we've got this guy, we can just go with this view a little bit higher so that we can see of what's going on with the details of the process. And let's find, of course, the process that is interesting for us, because what I would like to show you is technically the situation where we'll be able to identify that particular case. Yeah. So this is technically what we are looking for. Actually, let me just maybe search by the name, because that's going to be a bit of a hassle. So CQ create process. Yeah, it's going to take some time. But what's my point is that sysmon will show you eventually who is your parent process. Yeah, so you can build that particular path over here, and that's perfect. Thank you. So we've got a command line, create process with parent, and then we've got over here parent command line cmd.exe. And if we search for more of what's going on over here, so we can actually do search and search for the next one, yes, then that particular process is also out there to be found. So we can do find next, and then search for the create process with parent. So this is this one. So it was started by the CMD, and that's clear. But then we will see that actually Notepad, and this is quite interesting, what sysmon will not tell you, was created, but the Notepad was created by that particular guy. and it's going to take some time, yes? But you can see that particular path, and that's my point, yeah? So let it search, of course, and we're going to move forward, and I will show you the result, yeah? So let it go. It's a live demonstration, so I would love to keep it this way, because it's more interesting, yeah? Okay, so long story short, what's the case is that sometimes we can cheat on Sysmon. And whenever we are and have Sysmon running, so let's keep it running and let's see what's next. What I would like to show you is how we're able to unload Sysmon, but at the same time, it would be great to dig into the Sysmon's details as a service. So how are we going to do that? So this is going to be quite simple. So first of all, we're going to use the tool that is called FLTMC. And FLTMC, it's a built-in Windows tool that allows us to list mini filter drivers, yes, or mini filters. So the drivers that can be loaded and unloaded on the fly while the operating system is running. There's a privilege like this, by the way, in operating system, which is called load and unload device drivers. And these are the drivers we are referring to, yeah? So here we can see that there is indeed a Sysmon driver, and that's this guy over here, so we're going to copy this guy. And we can also do FLTMC, and we can list the instances, which shows us a big list of different types of instances that are mini filter drivers, monitoring our drives, monitoring our disks, including Sysmon driver, that in my case, it's a live, again, demonstration, it monitors C and D. Fine, so can I actually unload it? And answer is totally yes, yeah? So we can do that. And we can do the following. FLTMC, yeah, instances, okay, fine. And then we can do unload, or we can first do detach, but then unload. And then we can specify, of course, our Sysmon driver. Sysmon DRV, bang. And then we do FLTMC again, and the Sysmon isn't there. Now the funny part, so it's not working. Now the funny part is that we are unloading a driver, but the service itself, it's a little dummy. So if we do SC query, and then you do Sysmon driver, for example, even that, it says it's running. So if you are monitoring in your infrastructure services start statuses, take that into consideration as well. Yeah, that's one of the risks, yes, that can happen over here, that someone can actually unload a driver like this. So this is actually part of the Sysmon here, yeah. Now, technically here, yes, what we managed to find out is that the process was, of course, terminated, so we can dive deeper and so on. But Sysmon is not sharing that many details about that kind of a cheat thing that I showed you in the whole process. In general, Windows has a problem with that, and Sysmon is not recording this. And that's why if we do even find next, we could be searching for a long time, but you will not be able to see details about Notepad being actually parented by a CQ create process of parent. You will only see Notepad starting. Yes, so this is basically a bit of a case. Now, whenever we are moving forward, and this is way number 9, just to mention, misusing service accounts plus privilege accounts. This is one of the top 10 ways to make hackers excited. So if we manage to get access somewhere, one of the things that we are looking for is something juicy, something to perform the lateral movement, yes? And this is something that I had a chance also to talk about last year, just this one thing, to kind of repeat, kind of refer to, because it is actually all the time a problem, and that is related with, of course, service accounts having passwords configured, yes? So I've got that situation over here. So I've got Paula service, and it's running on the Freddy's account. How to get access to that? It's very straightforward. We need to, at that certain moment, get into elevation of the psexec minus sid cmd.exe to get into the local system. By the way, I have to say, to be absolutely fair, that in the license, if you read the license of the psexec, it's actually written over there that you cannot use it for hacking purposes. So don't forget that part, yes? Just to be fair, right? Okay, anyway. So let's get to the tools over here. And then we've got CQ secrets dumper. And that is basically service. And in the service, we can specify PJ service And then, of course, it displays as a password in a clear text. That can be mitigated with the GMSAs, Group Managed Service Accounts. But again, it's a bit of a problem. And this is something that allows someone to move forward and perform the lateral movement by stealing some credentials, jumping to the other machines, etc. So this is something to also to refer to. Okay, so what's next? Basically, whenever we are thinking, of course, about this last part that we have, the last part, so the step number or way number 10, is falling for hipster tools. And this is also a subject for our next presentation, because that starts a new era of the most popular attacks in the industry. Now, what we are referring to by using and naming it a hipster tools, just to show you that, to tease you maybe a little bit for the next part, is very simple, absolutely not a rocket science, a situation where we have and we are saving passwords in the browsers. Yes, and then, or in any other application, Outlook, whatever, KeePass, integrated with Windows, etc. And this is, of course, giving us a password available to the certain type of a user. Why this is happening? Every single app that we have, whatever that you guys run, portable apps, whatever that will be, if you run as you, it has or can have access to your credentials. Yeah? And this is in general the data protection API that we had a chance to reverse engineer. We're going to be, of course, diving deeper into this, but in general, this app, it's not our app, it's a Nearsoft app, so Near software app, which allows you to extract credentials from many different things. And I'm sure that you might even use that, yes? But in general, that shows the principle of saving passwords somewhere, and the other apps that we download from somewhere, we run, they might be even digitally signed, that could one day get access to our secrets. So this is what we kind of call a hipster tools, and this mainly refers to the data protection API. So summarizing, yes, 10 ways in general to make hacker happy. So we've discussed network access, spoofing activities, SMB relay, code execution prevention. We did a little bit of exploitation as well by performing the process migration. We extracted some secrets from the service accounts as well, from the data protection API areas of the user. We played as well with the amplification attacks. So there's plenty of different types of situations, including TDS on a SQL server, that are worth addressing. As I was saying, I hope that you're going to choose 3 of those. And we're going to focus on those this year. In general, as we already see, dealing with that kind of situation, sometimes it's not easy because they are situational based. I mean, can we fix NTLM version 2? Not really. Can we fix Kerberos, which also has a vulnerability regarding the ticket generation? I was talking about that on Microsoft Ignite 3 years ago in the credential-related sessions. Check out. Nothing has changed, by the way. It's also funny. So there are plenty areas that are worth having a look at that require implementation of some security measures that every single time we try to mention. If you guys, of course, want to have fun, don't forget our quiz. Our team is very intense in social media. We really like to share what we do. So secureacademy.com/quiz. It's a 25 cybersecurity questions. We are kind of challenging everybody. The average answers that are correct, it's 14. So that has grown a little bit, one point actually. So that's cool. If you would like to have a look at our Windows Server Advanced Windows Security course for 2019, have a look. We only run it once a year and it's online. It's a lot of work, so we really actually want to run it once a year. It's on our website too. In Sweden, together with AdSkills, Cornerstone, and Global Knowledge, we do something that we call a Secure Tour, where with my team, we are presenting about the Windows Server 2019 security. So there's going to be a bunch of hacking activities, but also security. And at the end, don't forget to check out our social media, where you can just pretty much watch our videos presented every week. How do we hack stuff? Thank you so much for coming. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully see you on the next session. If not, then definitely enjoy the conference, because it's a pretty nice conference that I always have to come to. Thank you so much.
This is TechDays.